So with the DEATH penalty being such a controversial thing, a hot button topic, one of the longest debates going back in regards to criminal justice system and criminal justice reform for as long as I can recall, right? A lot of people just feel it's inhumane to put people down like animals. But then at the same time, man, I love animals, man. Let's, like, you know what? It's the example people use oh so often. I was straight up shocked to find out of all these new ways that they're putting people down. Straight up. You see some of the stuff playing out on the screen. Who remembers the TV show Oz? There was a guy on there, and it's TV. Some of the stuff is fictional. Some of it was based on real life. It was a real gritty gutter show. It's kind of crazy the way it holds up all these years later. Like, it's a wild view of prison. But there was a guy on there that offed his parents, and he was given option to choose how he would be put down. He decided firing squad. Now, Oz, as I said, fictional. It takes place in New York State. In real life, they're not allowing you to pick how you get put down, and the state of New York doesn't have the D penalty. Pause for the D part. The only way that can happen is in a rare circumstance of a federal crime that is sentenced to that takes place in New York, and I don't know if that's ever happened, but a lot of TV shows I've noticed over the years have that in New York State, New York City, whatever, where they reference the D penalty, even though that's not used or whatever. But I was like, man, firing squad, right? They don't really do that. And come to find out, in 2025, this year, some people in this country have been put down via the firing squad route. And there's a Florida bill that's referenced in here where they're talking about, like, someone can be put down many different ways as long as it's not deemed inhumane or unconstitutional. And the examples that they give is being stoned, like out of the Bible, or beheaded. And different stuff is going down in different states. But this guy that we're talking about here, he's been on DEATH roll since 95 for a crime that took place in 1993, where other individuals, he had a couple co-defendants. One cooperated, cut a deal, and got a life sentence. There's another guy also on the roll as well. And this guy, who we're speaking of here, Anthony Todd Boyd, he's in his 50s. He's pleading with the governor. They're trying to, he's always maintained too, oh, I wasn't there. This guy is some pretty grisly, gruesome stuff. He was convicted of taping someone up, like snatching them up, kidnapping them, taping them, covering them with gasoline, like something out of a cartel movie, and burning them to death, burning them alive to death. And specifically in the court documents, what was testified to in trial that the prosecution laid out is that they watched this guy burn for 15 minutes. And this guy's always maintained, I wasn't there, I was at a party, this is BS. But one guy copped a plea, cooperated, he got a life sentence. But there's another guy also on the row as well. And this guy, Anthony Todd Boyd, he's pleading with the governor. And when it comes to these matters, it's typically reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So if not, he's set to be put to DEATH tomorrow. And you talk about ways I've never heard of. This sounds like some new stuff. This is in Alabama. I guess he'll be the 7th person put down this way if it indeed happened, with nitrogen gas. And this is like a highly controversial thing, which again, I'm surprised I haven't heard of this, with true crime being what it is and the criminal justice system always in the news. You know, everyone's talking about the food stamp shortage going on, the government shutdown and all that. But, you know, again, this is a hot button thing. How have I not heard of this? Have y'all heard of this? And I'm just tripping. I have not been tapped into the news cycle the way I used to be when I was on my ish, pumping out the content all the time. You know, if the story hits, we get views. Cool. If not, cool. We're still going to get to it and talk about it all over here. So make sure you guys talk with me in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe and all that as well. But I haven't heard of this nitrogen gas. And with it being so controversial, people have said, who witnessed these kinds of executions going down, they said that they saw the person suffering, because that's how it's supposed to be, is like you just more or less go to sleep. And People are saying, nah, it looks like people are suffering. And again, I'm just tripping off all these new ways people are being put down, when I thought it was pretty much all lethal injection at this point across the map. But I guess that's not the case. And people, he's saying to the governor, please come sit down and talk to me before this execution is carried out, before an innocent man is executed, and have a convo with the guy that you deemed one of the worst of the worst. Adding, he had nothing to do with this crime. Do the right thing and stop this execution. And in a statement from, who's this, Ivy, prosecutor, or that's the governor, I'm sorry, they mention how they personally review everything case by case. But here's a quote. It says, at this point, however, we have not seen any recent court filings disputing Mr. Boyd's guilt in the horrific burning alive murder of Gregory Hewley. Nor have we received a clemency submission to such an effort. The governor's execution review process understandably does not include one-on-one meetings with inmates, but this inmate's invitation to sit down and talk, delivered just hours before the scheduled execution, is especially unworkable. So basically, it's looking like this guy is all the way fucked. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it real. They're saying, we don't believe you that you were at a party. You've been convicted. You've been sitting on the roll all these years. You know this is coming. We haven't seen anything to make us question if you're guilty or not. And this was one of the worst of the worst crimes. Sorry, like, that's how it's going to happen. Now, when it comes to this kind of stuff, there is times where people are literally sitting in the chair or laying down on the table, pause, however it's going to go down, that they're going to be put down, and that phone call comes in like something out of a movie. There was a Netflix movie I saw within the past year, Trial by Fire, I think it was, where there was a guy that they said on some satanic ritual-ish burnt up his own kids and took their lives. And Texas puts people down left and right, always have, always will, is the way it's looking. And after his passing, being executed, there was a lot of evidence that came out saying, this was not really what happened. This was an electric fire or something like that. It was accidental, as, totally aside from what we're talking about with this Mr. Boyd, who it's looking like isn't going to get any kind of mercy. When it comes to arson, this is straight up facts. You guys can look into it. The old arsonist textbook or whatever that police would operate off was written off some straight bullshit text that's like scientifically been proven to be so inaccurate, but was used to convict many people, used to deem many fires arsons that weren't, and used to put people to death like that guy was, And again, this is just something a lot of people who feel these criminals are the worst of the worst, like, fuck them, I have no mercy on them, are like, wait, though, the D penalty is where I call it that's too much, and I want to know from everyone, do you feel that that's just playing God? Like, some people like the state of Texas model, like, you come into our state, you do some heinous ish, we're gonna get heinous on your ass, pause. Some people are like, doing that brings you down to the level of the criminal, and actually worse in some ways, because you're contemplating it all out and playing God, judge, jury, executioner, all that. I don't know, man, but this nitrogen gas firing squad, this shit just has me tripping. Like, seriously, some out of a movie or a TV show that's fictional. But yeah, if this does indeed move forward, he'll become the 40th executed in the U.S. this year. And that hasn't been many people put down that number, the 40 milestone, since 2012. And at least 5 more are scheduled this year. Will it all happen? We don't know, you know what I mean? But it's looking like all this guy's chances, appeals, pleas have run out. You know what I'm saying? We're going to try to update this story tomorrow. But yeah, man. Nitrogen gas firing squad in that Florida bill, like, it's almost wild. Like, man, they're trying to find creative ways to take people's lives. Me personally, isn't it, when it comes to execution, isn't it something like jury duty where you just get called for it. I don't know if I'm 100% on that. You guys remember in Monsters Ball where they were like, oh yeah, you hit the lotto or something like that. All you got to do is press this button or do this. You get paid for your civic duty. I would have no parts of that. I don't want to witness it. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this stuff because some people hurt the youth or did heinous shit like this, burnt people alive. It's like, how could you? You know what I mean? But then again, as I was stating, with this dilemma that's been going on for as long as they've been doing this kind of ish, it's like, does this make the people no better than the person who committed this horrific atrocity? You know what I mean? Is this the same? Are you like stooping down to their level? It's a debate that's been going on forever, and I don't know, man. This guy is like nitrogen gas. Will it happen tomorrow? And shocking too, as they stated, executions are up since all-time high since 2012, man. And as I stated, he had 3 co-defendants, not 2. They testified on them, all of them, I guess. One of them, Quinte Cox, was able to plead guilty to a lesser charge and get a lighter sentence, like I said. So I don't know if that was life, but it was lighter. He ain't getting put to death, whether it's life or he ever has a shot at freedom. Probably not. And there is someone else also on the row as well. But stay tuned for tomorrow. What do you guys think about this? Again, were you aware of all these new ways they're putting people down? And specifically with this nitrogen stuff, what do you think about it? You know what I mean? It first happened in Alabama in January 2024. Since then, the state has used the method on 5 other inmates. So again, he could be the 7th. And there's objections from some in the Jewish community who argued that it harkens back to Nazi gas chambers. That's some dark, evil shit, you know? Like, obviously, this is all controversial no matter what, but just hearing that, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty strong argument. For real, that's like the U.S. having their own Holocaust. I mean, not in the sense that they're putting that many people down, but they're offing someone Nazi style, man. This is a tough conversation to have, but please, everyone, have it with me in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for updates on this as well as other stories. If you're new, we talk about all kinds of news stories over here. And with that being said, I'm going to close this one out. Peace.